Welcome to All About the Experiences. Today is my 14th episode, and I would just like to first start off by congratulating the BMW Driving Experience Instagram giveaway winner, Brandon Lupian. I am certain that Amanda White of the BMW Performance Driving School is going to take great care of Brandon and whoever that special guest is. I look forward to bringing more great giveaways to all of you faithful listeners. And I also want to extend a big thank you to last week's podcast guest, Robert Beard. He's the founder and CEO of the Nurses Room. And the response that I received from the nursing community was simply amazing. And again, I can't thank all of you nurses enough for all that you do in making sure that we stay well. We come from a family of nurses, and my favorite nurse of all time, even though she's no longer with us, I know that she's always looking down on me and taking care of me, and so appreciative of all of you guys, all the things that you all do. I also want to continue to share in the excitement and the stories that all of my guests bring. I can't tell you, I'm sitting on this side of things, but when I'm doing these interviews, and even though some of my guests I already know, just the genuine stories and inspiration that they bring is just remarkable. And I'm just so excited to share that with all of you. So never miss an episode. Subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcasting platform by name, All About the Experiences. And also to get the latest updates on the All About the Experiences brand, all you have to do is go to my website, allabouttheexperiences.com. You can hear a theme here, right? All About the Experiences. Today's guest, and as I said two, are California natives. They're born and raised in Los Angeles. They have known each other since the tender age of 11 years old. They will be quick to say that even though they've known each other for most of their lives, they were not necessarily childhood sweethearts. So we'll get into that. In fact, one annoyed the other so much in high school, but I will not necessarily say which one it was. After graduating from high school in '97, these little young whippersnappers would end up going their separate ways. One joined the Air Force, and the other one, well, let me just say this. She moved to the Philippines, educated herself, and pursued a career in marketing, which we will soon see how that paid off. Their love story actually began in 2007 when life would bring them both back to Northern California, and love prevailed, and they got married in 2008, and together they have 5 beautiful kids between the two of them. Sounds like a Brady Bunch made in heaven, right? The Air Force career that would eventually take their family to Okinawa, Japan, well, while stationed there, they received a call from their brother, JB, shout out to JB, back in California, offering them an opportunity to invest in a restaurant venture. Knowing nothing about the restaurant industry, other than that JB had become quite an accomplished chef in the Bay Area, and they agreed to go in as a silent investor. And guess what? The Hideout Kitchen in Lafayette, California was born, and let me tell you, baby, I've been there, and the food and the atmosphere, and of course, the drinks are very good. 3 years later, JB would tap in, and then he would ask them for another opportunity for them to join in another restaurant venture. But this time, they wouldn't just be silent investors, they would be owners as well. Talk about pivoting. I'm sorry, we're not saying that anymore, shifting. So anyway, when this came about, it was born into being Vic's Martinez, and that launched in January 2019. Vic's has been included in the best of the East Bay restaurants 2 years in a row, and that's not bad considering that Vic's is less than 2 years old. This beautiful blended family has provided amazing dining experiences with the freshest ingredients, creative dishes, and warm hospitality that Vic's has become synonymous for. They have adjusted their business model several times this year to survive the global pandemic that we know is COVID. Ooh, please take me back to BC before COVID. And taking a stance on important social issues. affecting not only the nation, but Vic's local community. We'll definitely get into that conversation. Vic's, led by Lourin Rosie Meyers, continues to strive for the betterment of its operations, staff, community, and while also keeping the dining enjoyment of their guests definitely in the forefront. And who doesn't want to go to a wonderful eating establishment and be treated like family? Without further delay, I am pleased to welcome Lourin Rosie Meyers to the All About the Experiences Living Without Limits, baby podcast. Welcome, Rosie and Lourin. Hey, how are you guys doing? And welcome.
Thank you. We're happy to be here. We're doing
well. We're certainly happy to have you on here. And I'm sitting here, I know both of you very well, but in just hearing about how your story started, and I know there's lots more to be discussed in that regard, but wow, what a beautiful story it is.
Thank you.
Well, let's get right on into it. Obviously, I see Lourin there. He's repping Vic's. Tell me, what is Vic's? And I know we started a little bit. I started off talking about the restaurant, but tell me how this all got started in your words.
It was actually very, very organic. My brother kind of, stumbled upon being a chef. When he moved back here a few years ago, he actually started as a busboy, mopping floors and everything at Sweet Tomato or something like that, and then eventually moved his way up to being a line cook and then a sous chef and eventually a chef. And that's kind of how everything progressed. One day, about almost 7 years into his career, maybe 6, he calls us and just says, "Hey, I have an opportunity. I found a spot and I'm thinking of opening a restaurant." And I'm thinking, what do you know about opening a restaurant? Lourin was the one with all the confidence in the world. And he said, "I think we should do it. I think we should show your brother how much we believe in him and his talent. And, I've been given an opportunity to be able to help somebody out." And we went for it. I was nervous. He was always confident. And so 3 years later, when the opportunity came again, well, at that point, it kind of shifted to me, right? Yeah. I was the one who was really gung-ho because he was retired at that point. And I had been working around the Hideout for a little bit, and I thought to myself, we could do this. Lourin and I have the personality, the work ethic, the grit to get this done. And that's how it started, and we came into it and we knew nothing other than to be hospitable and to eat good and to make sure everybody leaves happy, full.
I know, I definitely know. And let me go back a little bit and just say, Lourin, thank you so much for your service. I too am a veteran, but I know what it takes to don that uniform every day. And I'm so appreciative of you making that sacrifice. And Rosie, thank you for your service, because I also know what it is to be a spouse of a military member and holding it down on the home front and making sure that he's good. And I just appreciate both of you for all that you bring. And I'll just say this to our family. Rosie and Lourin are family members of mine, my cousins, and I'm incredibly proud of the both of them. And so I had to beg them. I'm like, come, I need you on the podcast. I want people to know what amazing people I have in my family, but beyond that, what great talent that you all have. I mean, that obviously we're talking about Vic's today, but it far exceeds that. So thank you for being such wonderful members of our family and providing such delicious food. Trust me, that's my first stop whenever I come into the Bay Area, is I come to see you all, right?
Yes,
absolutely. Well, let's get into that, because I recognize that, and I know everybody hates to use the dreaded P word, pivot, but, in the midst of everything that's going on with this global pandemic, I recognize that sometimes people have had to make shifts in what they're doing, whether they own their business or they're working for an organization. Everybody has essentially had to make these changes. And to some degree, some people have had to be furloughed or, you know, decided to go a different direction. And so I think you started off with saying that, you know, this was something that you were nervous about doing, you know, starting in an industry that you weren't familiar with, but you knew that you had support systems in JB. And I want to give it up to JB again, because not only does he provide amazing atmosphere and delicious food, but literally you feel like you're coming to someone's home and you're being ingratiated and embraced with all the hospitality. And I'd like to say that that's just a part of our family anyway, but you really extend that to all of your patrons for sure.
Absolutely.
So tell me, when you decided to make that leap of faith and open up the restaurant, I know that there was some apprehension there, but what helped you get over that apprehension and just decide, you know what, let's go for it?
The first time?
The first time.
So I'm gonna bring you back just a little bit to a Thanksgiving that we had while I was still in, and we were stationed here in the Bay Area. And JB was in the roles that Rosie was talking about, where he was doing some, some side stuff, busboy, you know, and I think at the time he might have been a sous chef.
Okay.
And he came over for Thanksgiving later on after he got off work and after we had already, pretty much everybody had ate, and he came over and we thought he was just gonna eat, but he decided to bring some stuff. He's like, I'm gonna make some dishes for you guys to try. So everybody already had eaten, so we're like, okay, well, we'll indulge you. That turned out to be everybody just basically had a whole other meal. And everybody ate.
Watched him cook.
Yeah, everybody watched him cook. Everybody ate all of it. And they were like, oh my God, that was the best meal I've had.
Wow.
So when that was
mom
done,
was there.
Yeah, that's true. Your mom was there, so she knew.
I know she enjoyed it then.
Yeah. So I told him that day, I said, hey, if you ever have plans on going any farther in the restaurant industry, like possibly opening your own restaurant or anything like that, if you have those type of aspirations, you give me a call and whatever I can, scrounge up is yours.
I love it.
And fast forward to 2015, we were in Okinawa and he calls Rosie, like she said, and there was a long, back and forth, and she was very hesitant. And I was in the shower getting ready for work. She poked her head in the shower and she's like, hey, JB was saying he has a chance to open a restaurant and that you guys talked about it and that, he said something about you would help finance it. And I pretty much said, yeah. I said, give him whatever we can get. Call the bank, find out what we can get.
So now I know when I need something, I need to wait until you're in the shower and I'll send Rosie in.
Well, no, I mean, the point
no,
being,
for sure.
Point being is that we had already had the conversation. I gave him my word.
Yes.
He called me on it, and unbeknownst to her, he called me on it. I said, yeah, I already talked to him about it. Give it to him, whatever he can get.
Yeah.
And, military folks. So when I say give him whatever we can get, that's, literally, a couple bucks, some change, and some lint out of your pocket,
There you go.
But what little we gave him, he literally, blood, sweat, and tears, put that restaurant together, almost literally on his own.
Beautiful restaurant too.
Yeah, with his wife. And literally, the first meals coming out were slow going. Sometimes he didn't have all the ingredients there. Sometimes he had to call his wife up and ask her to scrounge up anything. Yeah, well, what do we have at home that you can put together?
Right.
So I mean, it literally started from blood, sweat, and tears to put that restaurant together. But I believed in him enough, just based on how he could cook, that people would want his food. And I think that's a lot of times what anybody needs is you have folks who have talent but don't have the means, and you have people who don't necessarily have talent but they have means. Those folks with means need to find those folks with talent.
Amen.
And say, hey, I can do for you. Let's figure out a way we can combine and just make this happen. Let's figure out all the logistics at some other point in time. Let's make this happen so we can get you on, get you going, and maybe I can make something off of it, But you marry the two things together, and the Hideout is what you get.
I love it. Well, it shows. It shows the pride that he has in his food. It shows in the decor. And what beyond that, and I'm not even speaking from the standpoint of being a family member, but honestly, it shows in when you come in the hospitality that you receive. And you know, I'm in the hospitality industry and I look for these things. And I think sometimes we may be harder on our family than we are if we go into any other establishment. And I have to tell you, it was a plus. And I know that the first time I experienced the Hideout was right after my mom passed, and we did a family gathering there following her services. And I mean, obviously, it's a time for heightened emotions and everything, but you know, there's something that our great grandmother, Mom Rainey, used to say is that, you know, you feel the love in the food, and how you get that love in the food is the person that's preparing it has that love and care. And I firmly believe in that. I mean, we come from a history of people who produce soul food, and I believe soul food comes in many forms. And that was one of the most comforting things that I can have after the loss of a parent. And the only thing you want to feel, or the things that you're missing, is that comfort and that love. And I felt that in every bite, trust me. And on my way, my drive back down to San Diego, all I could think about was I should have got me a to-go plate. So
A hug on a plate, you know.
Certainly.
So after that, you know, he contacted me after I had retired, and had an opportunity to do it again. This time I was a little bit more hesitant because, you know, after retiring, we had kind of mellowed out, and we were like, hey, we have everything, we're steady, we're good.
Right.
You know, why would you want to jump back into chaos, you know, when you've pulled out and you're like, okay, I'm good to go.
Plus that time we were taking an ownership role.
Yeah,
so
right.
a more visible physical presence
Right.
in the actual operations, where before we just had to, you know, here's what you need, we'll be across the ocean, let us know how it goes, make sure you pay us back.
Right.
But this time we were in the mix, like we were part of the equation of whether it was going to be successful or not. Yeah. So it was a bit stressful, and Lourin always likes to say at that point we didn't really need it.
Right. This was VIX was a complete want on our part. And it goes back to something I told her when we got together, which, you know, from being a military spouse, you know, being a military spouse is tough. So when the military member moves, when they got to do something, when they're called at 3 o'clock in the morning, it's not only the member who has to move and make things happen, the spouse has to deal with it.
Absolutely.
He's left to deal with the pieces, or he or she, excuse me, is left to deal with the pieces, you know, left behind as the member leaves or goes wherever they're going to go.
Right.
So I told her, I said, you know, hey, after I retire, we're going to flip the script, and whatever you want to do, I'm going to support you on, and I'm going to, you know, whatever it is, you know.
True partnership.
Right. And so when this came up, I looked at her, I said, we don't need this. I said, but if this is what you want to do, I told you that I was going to support you and follow you wherever you wanted to go at this point.
Ooh, can we give it up to all the supportive men? Hello.
So, you know, and so I asked her, I said, hey, is this what you really want to do? And she said, yeah. Here it is.
I'm going to need one of those t-shirts, by the way.
Right over.
Well, I absolutely love that. And I think you said, even when JB started, it was started in blood, sweat, and tears. And I think when you are a part of the fabric of something like this, regardless of what the business is, but specifically in something where it involves hospitality and you're giving so much of yourself, that you are truly invested in more ways than one. And it shows. I have to tell you, the first time that I visited VIX, it was, I was proud, because I have to tell you, first let's start with this. VIX is located in Martinez, California. Let me tell you what my connection is to Martinez, California, that extends far beyond my family. I went to high school at Alhambra High in Martinez, even though I lived in Oakland. That's a whole nother story we'll get into. Right. But the restaurant is located at the old Foster Freeze.
Yes.
And I used to go by there after school and meet up with, we'll just say friends, or perhaps a certain young man. But that's another story too.
Like Martinez have told us stories of the same thing.
It's quite the nostalgia.
Yes. Oh yeah, that was the spot, honey. When we got out of class, let me tell you, that was the spot.
Stories of, I cut a little class and met up with somebody that I knew and had a little ice cream.
Get my little cone and it was dipped in the chocolate, or maybe I was just the chocolate. I don't know, but yeah. So that was definitely a staple in Martinez. So even though I kind of knew where it was, when I came back to visit and I saw that, I just got all the feel goods. And then to know that 2 of my family members are in here, actually more than just 2 of my family members, but you 2 are in here making a whole new, renewed of the space, I should say, and then bringing so much good food. And I love when people ask me, oh, where, because they know I'm from the Bay Area, where can I eat? And I send them your way, and then they come back and they're like, oh my God, that was so good. I'm like, absolutely, I know, I told you it would be. And you know how I am about putting my stamp of approval on something. And every single person that I have sent your direction, they have been overjoyed and can't wait to get back. And so I say that so that all my listeners know, if you are in the San Francisco Bay Area, I don't care where you're at there, you need to make it a point to go to Martinez, California, right there on Pacheco, and go to Vic's Martinez. I don't care how far you have to drive. Trust me, it is worth the drive. And I'm not just saying that because this is family. I'm telling you that because I'm a foodie. I love to eat, and I will travel for food and a good time and a little bubbly. And you can get that there too.
We get all that at Vic's.
And more.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of our trade models when we opened the place up, especially when he brought us on, he brought us on specifically because of our work ethic, and because we have a sense of family and hospitality, and being military, we have a very much a connection to being blue collar.
Absolutely.
And as you know, I mean, that's Martinez. I mean, they're hard workers. They're not there for fluff.
No.
So one of the main things at Vic's is you're going to get good food. I mean, that's something you should expect at any restaurant you go to, but you're going to get good food. So the second thing that you might not get, or you might not be expecting, is going to be, you're going to get great service. That's standard at Vic's. We've kind of ingrained that in our staff, and it pours down from the top. I mean, Rosie and I, when we're there, we're not just sitting, on the throne, looking around, pointing people to go here and there.
I was proud to see my little cousin running around doing his thing. I was just like, yes.
Taking orders, picking up plates, telling you about the menu,
right?
Yes.
I mean,
drinks. He does it all.
Yeah, I mean, we literally have gone from zero experience to hosting, serving, busing.
The only thing we don't do is cook.
Yeah, the only thing we don't do is cook, and if we did, nobody would come. Or at least I know. If I did, nobody would come.
I already know that you can make a mean peanut butter and jelly sandwich because you used to do it back in the day.
You can boil some mean water shanks.
There you go.
You want some good crusty toast? Let me know.
Well, let me ask you this, because now I'm taking off the cousin and the podcast host hat, and I'm wearing the hat of an event planner. If I am in the San Francisco Bay Area, as you know, I come up often. I'm often involved in bringing my executive leadership team out for the JP Morgan conferences and other large conferences in the area. And a lot of times it is so congested in the city in San Francisco that I want to bring my teams outside of that and give them just a good experience. And I don't want it to be, I mean, don't get me wrong, we love the galas and being all fancy and everything, but I want them to have an experience where, one, they're getting great food and it's more of a relaxed environment. If I wanted to do, and I'm speaking right now, BC, which is before COVID, if in fact I wanted to do a buyout, or if I wanted to host an event at your restaurant, would I be able to do that?
Absolutely. In fact, I would be your contact person. I arrange all that. And more often than not, in fact, this Friday I have one, I am there for the event. So okay. I see it from the planning stages, from the actual event to the very end, every detail.
Okay.
yes, absolutely. Please call me. We've had that before where companies came in for a conference and it was in the city and they were going to Napa, for a little getaway. And because we are halfway between the city and Napa, they thought we had a little, little something set up for them real nice. And they all said they didn't feel like going to Napa anymore. They're like, well, we'll just stay here for the rest of the day and then head back, to the city. But I mean, it's a good, middle point. If you're going to explore the Bay Area, you definitely have to come check us out if you're in town for conferences and whatnot. Give me a phone.
Absolutely.
I will be there. That's the real treat.
Well, I think that's what, for me as an event planner, knowing that even when I'm doing an offsite event and I have someone that I can connect with and I'm dealing with that one person, that's so important to me. And obviously we have a relationship, but like coming into it, if I'm coming and I'm looking for, said venue and also, food and beverage packages included and we can work something out, then absolutely I'm here for it. Let me ask you this, in the way of food and beverage, if there's something, obviously, I'm sure you probably have a catering menu and whatnot, but if there was something specific with people with dietary concerns or things like that, are you able to make those adjustments as well?
Absolutely. We're very empathetic to those kind of situations because we have a child who's allergic to everything under the sun.
Okay.
So our menu is very flexible. We could be keto, we could be vegan, we could be gluten free. And even on menus where we haven't been before, we found ways to make it, so that other people's dietary needs can be met. And I think that's what a lot of our guests love is that we will work with you without taking away the experience of our dishes. So that you can say, just I've had that. I may be gluten free, but I've actually had that dish, and it's great. So.
I do love that you do that because I think when we came last, you were explaining to my husband Dominic how, in fact, to enjoy. I believe it was the waffle sandwich, and we'll talk about that. Yeah. And it was I had to write a whole review on this because I was just like, I've never heard anybody tell you how to enjoy a sandwich, but you made a good point of that, and honestly, after checking all three, they're all delicious, all different ways that you can eat it. But when I tell you the food is amazing, and I ate so much I was about to bust. Like how back in the day, Grandma said, "Well, did you wear your eating pants?" I should have that day because I ate a lot of food, but absolutely delicious food. And again, the service is exemplary. Let's talk about the decor a little bit because I'll make sure that when the podcast is released, there'll be pictures and everything. And I'm certain that people have seen in the promos that the food, I've been making sure to include pictures of the food, but tell us about the decor and tell us what it in the way of either having a Sunday brunch or hosting an event, what the decor is available to your patrons.
The decor for indoor dining, BC, came together very organically. Everybody would say it was as if you're going to your favorite aunt's house, favorite relative's house. It had things that made it quaint, that made it cozy, that made it cute. It paid homage to our culture. It has a little wooden fork and spoon, because Filipinos love to do that.
So do we. I got to keep on telling her that.
Wooden fork and spoon?
Yes, we do that.
Okay. And then there's been times where we've brought our own personal touches. Like I'll look at something at my home and I'll say, I think this would look good at Vic's, So it's got pieces of Lourin, pieces of myself, JB, and it's comfortable.
So, by the way, so when we're talking about decor, back to the name of the restaurant. The name of the restaurant is Vic's. The name is actually Rosie's grandfather's name.
I never knew that.
So part of the decor that's in the restaurant, in the inside part, is a picture of her grandfather and her grandmother. So I mean, it literally is set up like you are coming over to somebody's house, and that's why the service and everything goes along with that. That you are getting served as if you are at somebody's home, and how can we be more hospitable? Since you're at our place.
Certainly. And you definitely get that feel when you're there. And that is for sure. I mean, obviously I have a great connection to Martinez as I spent more than 4 years there. Well, not 4 years in high school, but 4 years in the area. And the wonderful thing about it is that you've taken a landmark that has been such, it's inbred in the community there in Martinez, and you've turned it into something even more nostalgic because again, it's a place where people can come and connect and have great food and just be with each other. And that's so important, especially with everything that's going on right now. I know that we kind of started off talking about touching on COVID a little bit, but let's talk about that. What are some of the things that you have in place when you have customers that are coming to dine in? Are you taking any special precautions in the wake of COVID?
Absolutely. So first off, we're completely closed for inside dining. We're completely on the patio.
Okay.
Our tables are socially distanced. They're 6 feet apart, even when there are two people, or when there are people sitting back to back. They will still be 6 feet apart.
Okay.
We sanitize with food grade tables, meaning non-toxic. We sanitize between each guest, and then anything that gets left on the table, salt and pepper shakers and all that, we sanitize those as well.
Okay.
So, and then we have, like you mentioned, it used to be a Foster Freeze. So for those who are familiar with those windows Foster Freeze has, those have really been beneficial to us as we were able to, when everything was shelter in place, and even now as we do takeout, we have these big, beautiful glass, windows that allow to serve our takeout meals from behind the glass, while still that interaction, the hey, good to see you.
Yes.
And, so the space in itself has really allowed us to thrive in the time of COVID. I know that's not something that people are saying right now, but we feel blessed that the way the building was set up, it has allowed us to almost quadruple our seating capacity. Yeah. Now that we've done a little beautification project on our patio.
Very nice.
The windows was great for takeout. Yeah. Absolutely great for takeout.
I mean, the thing is, when we came into that building, we kept looking at those windows thinking, what are we going to do with these? Like, how do we get away from this? Because we don't want to look like this
right.
old, we don't want to look like we're just in an old diner, like in an old Foster's Freeze. But then this whole thing hit, and how everybody was plexiglassing up and drilling it.
You already had it in place.
We literally just shut the door and opened the windows.
With built-in microphones.
Right.
Old school little.
So, I mean,
yes.
I mean, it was just, we literally were like, thank God for the windows. Like, oh crap. And we just started bagging things up and sliding them out the window.
I love it. Well, it
actually worked tremendously for the lunch program that we had. That we were running, that Miss Rosie here put together, the grilled cheese please.
Tell me about that. What is the grilled cheese please? I'm all for a good grilled cheese.
That I don't know how that really all happened. It's all a blur, but it caught on so fast. It was a Thursday or a Friday, and the school district had just announced that school was going to be out for 2 weeks. And being parents of 5 kids, I thought immediately, although people don't often say it, a lot of kids count on school lunches for their meals.
Right.
So I thought immediately, so first off, now parents have to homeschool, who have full-time jobs, they now have to homeschool, and they have to worry about where the kids, what the kids are going to eat. Yeah. And I said, well, you know what, we're in a space where we can provide meals. And
where the location is for our restaurant, we are literally within walking distance of the middle
school.
You
are, I know. Yes.
To come out with a program, it was almost like he almost felt responsible. Like, we have to, we have a school right up the street. There are probably so many kids here in our area around the building. We probably should do something.
I love that.
I was caught off guard because I thought of it, and then 5 minutes later posted it, called it grilled cheese please, and put my phone down. And next thing I know, when I came back, red bubbles everywhere. Ping, ping, thank you. How can we just contribute? What can we donate? Yeah. We had cash donations, check donations, bread, cheese, just coming in truckloads from all the Martinez locals.
Look,
And
Martinez is good for that, right? Coming together. And I witnessed that, even though, I mean, like I said, I went to school in Martinez, but I lived in Oakland. But to see the way the Martinez community comes together and supports its students and local businesses, it's remarkable at best. It's just simply remarkable. And honestly, Rosie and Lourin, it touches my heart. I didn't even know about that. So I'm sitting here because I know what it is to be in a food insecure environment, and knowing that the reason why we were food insecure is because my mom couldn't cook, but we won't go into that. We won't talk about that.
Like, no, I'm not cooking. Go ahead.
Yeah. But what I do love is that I know for a fact, definitely, in many of the communities in California, is that there are students that the only meals that they get is when they're at school. And to know that now everyone has been quarantined and have to stay home, you worry about those babies and whether or not they're eating. So I think that is honestly one of the sweetest, most selfless things that you all could have done in taking care of the community. So from my heart to yours, like, I thank you for doing that. I really do. You got you a good woman there, huh? Well, let's shift a little bit. And in the intro, I mentioned that not only did you shift in the wake of COVID, but also, I mean, there has been a lot of racial and political and civil unrest going on. Tell me how VIX has played a part of that or helped, I don't want to say played a part, but helped in the wake of some of the turmoils that are going on.
So it's a very known thing at VIX amongst the owners that although we are for Black Lives Matter, we believe in that, but we are also for not trying to put down the police. We very much support the police and law enforcement and what they do. They are very necessary. They're a very integral part of any community, but especially Martinez. So it was a big thing that when we finally came out with a statement, that we made sure that everybody understood that yes, you come in, you will see a law enforcement and military patch board, but that does not mean that we do not support Black Lives Mattering, especially not because one of the owners is Black. So I mean, I mean. And we wanted everybody to know, which I think has been lost a lot, which is you can support both. It's not a black and white issue. You can support both. You can say that Black Lives Matter and say, but we need the police. There's nothing wrong with that.
At VIX, we proudly fly the flag.
Yeah, we fly the flag,
and we have a sign.
Yeah, we have a sign probably about 5 steps away from it that say "Black Lives for Martesians." Martesians for Black Lives Matter. And we have a picture of George Floyd inside the restaurant. On the opposite side of the frames that have the law enforcement boards. So I mean, we are very much on both sides of it. Rosie and I went down to the courthouse and helped out paint the mural on the street in front of the courthouse.
The mural that gained national attention.
Right.
It gained national, and I was like so proud that my family was a part of that.
Yeah.
We were there.
I mean, we did our little part, and we went down there and helped paint, a little bit. Mm-hmm. And on that day, we walked away, and I said to Rosie, I said, how long do you think this is going to last? I said, what do you think? Maybe a day or so? And she was like, you think yeah. And she was like, maybe like an hour or two. And sure enough, just like that, someone had already gone down there and defaced it. They were having, somebody went down there and produced a weapon, and you know, it was crazy, and we were just so blown away. We were just like, this is nuts. I mean, like, how is it that you just can't say, like, how is that hurting people so bad just to say that Black lives matter? And nowhere in that statement does it say that they only matter. You know, it's literally just, hey, we matter as well. You know, and it's not to say that the cops are all wrong, but just, can we look at some of the tactics that they're using, or, you know, can we look at some of the things that they're doing, and maybe just say, yeah, that could have been done a little bit better, or maybe that much force didn't need to be used, you know? And I get it. They got a dangerous job. You know, like, you and I both been military. You know, when you go to a job day in and day out where you have to lay your life down the line, where you don't know if you're going to be called up to go somewhere where that could be it for you. It's a very scary thing.
Indeed.
But in doing that job, it doesn't mean that you need to take any of that stress that you may be feeling for your job out on anybody. And that's not to say that all of them do it, but it is to say that when you're in that high intensity, you know, moment, you got to be able to self-control and back off. Absolutely. You know, hey, I'm the good guy, so I can't be displaying any bad guy tendencies here. You know, I can't stoop down to their level. I have to remain the good guy. And I know that's hard as humans. We're not superheroes.
Right.
This isn't a comic book story, you know, and so I get it. But at the same time, you have to be able to hold people accountable. You know, just like they did in the military. You know, they had your
keep your military bearing at all times.
And they had your back as long as you were in the right.
Right.
You know, even when you messed up, if it was just a honest mistake and it was a mistake, you had to own up to your mistake, but they had your back. They weren't just going to throw you to the wolves. But now, if you went out and did something that you knew you were wrong, and you were wrong
with malicious intent,
right? Yeah. They had no problem in a heartbeat throwing you under the bus, tossing you to the wolves, and boom, you're done. So I don't understand why the accountability can't be made like that, especially amongst the peers and everything like that. That doesn't mean you have to sell out your people, but that does mean that you should be able to say, hey, look, dude, you were wrong.
VIX has been a place of a lot of conversation, because a lot of our regulars are law enforcement. A lot of our regulars are wives of law enforcement.
Mm-hmm. And they're good guys.
The chief of police of Martinez dines there often. And it's just, they see our signs, they see the patches,
right.
You know, all our guests, they understand what we're about, and they come in and they have conversation with us. It's an open space, it's a comfortable space, it's a safe space.
You know what this reminds me of? I can remember, and Lourin may remember this, or maybe he may be too young, but I can remember at Grandma's house on 67th Avenue in East Oakland, and her home was much like what VIX is. It's a safe place to come and share and exchange ideas and have difficult conversations. You get a good meal there. You have the embrace and love of people who will support you no matter what side of the table that you're on. And it sounds like that's what VIX represents in the city of Martinez, but also it embodies a lot of the same qualities that are in our family. And sitting here listening to you all, I'm sitting here with my chest out, and I'm so proud, because it's not an easy line to tote when you want to support both sides of the matter and you're connected. I mean, we're a military family, we're a family of caregivers, and we're providing, I mean, obviously we're a multiracial family. And sometimes people may only view as one of those things when we're multifaceted and represent so many sides of the coin. And I applaud you all for all that you do in our family, and most definitely in the community. And it's to be applauded and definitely celebrated. And I hope it's that kind of thing that will bring everybody to the table. And if that means that you sit down at the table and share a meal and just say, even if we don't agree, we can agree to disagree, and hopefully live in one accord, you know, but time will tell, right? That's the hard part. So moving forward, what are some of the positive things that you would like to see come out of this within the community?
I think for us at VIX, we would just like to see a coming together of the community, a furthering of what's already been happening, which is the conversations, and take the what do I want to say? I don't want to use any big words like hatred or anything, but like take the fear of the unknown of whatever it is you're ignorant about out of it, and just listen, you know, and that's on both sides, because we know guys who are good cops. We also know, you know, Black folks that aren't doing all this crazy mess that is being brought up.
Hello, we're some of them. We're good Black folks.
Right. So, I mean, it's, you know, so you can't just come in and say, well, you know, these people, well, you know, these cops. You have to come in with the conversation where, you know, I just don't understand why this. I don't understand why this, you know. And my hope is that, especially Martinez, with as high a level that they got with the mural being in front of the courthouse, I hope the city is able to just continue to conversate and come together. And no one's going to say it's going to be overnight, but just continue to come together. I mean, the city has a very, I won't say it's a huge diverse population, but it's
very unique in a sense where Martinez is home to a lot of the county offices.
Yeah.
So you have the county courthouse, you know, you have the county hospitals, you have a lot of the public services in Martinez. So, and it is very diverse. So VIX provides, again,
yes, on a regular basis, yes, it is.
A good location, a good, almost just geographical place to gather. And that's what we just hope, is that, you know, conversation will always be had, a lot of perhaps unlearning, you know, and relearning, and
you know,
just growth.
Yeah, I mean, communication is key.
Certainly is. It certainly is.
Any type of growth, you know, I mean, communication is key. You gotta keep the line of communication open. And anytime you don't understand something, you can't fall back on, well, I don't need to know that, or the feeling of, well, if I ask, I don't want anybody to think I'm dumb to the situation or the topic. If you don't know, you don't know. And
you know what I love about us too? What I love about VIX is it's almost a visual representation of everybody being in one space and getting along so well. Our staff is so diverse in age, in gender, in race, you know, and we're a family. We have very low turnover. We have most of our staff that we've had from the day we opened still there today. And we get along great, you know, so.
I love that.
It sets a good example, you know.
I mean,
well, I think about our family in general. When you look at our family and we roll in somewhere, people cannot tell who belongs to who, but we all belong to each other. And I mean, we are like the colors of Benetton when we walk in there.
Yes, that's nice, you know.
Yeah. I mean, we've had folks come in BLM shirts. We've had folks come in and Make America Great Again ads. But once again, you're in our restaurant, you're not going to get treated any differently than anybody else, based on the way you're dressed or anything. As long as you can keep your opinions and everything else, you know, if they're just so strong, you can keep them to yourself. Or if you want to have a conversation, we can have a conversation. But we're not going to turn you around. Yeah, we're not going to. Yeah, as long as you know, it's respect. You know, but it's not.
I find that
there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, for sure. I find that transparency is real important, especially like for me, I'm in a corporate environment and you guys know how I am. I'm all about switching up my look, and I recognize that a lot of times when I walk in a room, people already have a preconceived idea of who they think I am, or what they think will come out of my mouth, or what they think my background is. And there are people, you know, like sometimes when I'm at a conference and there's an icebreaker, and it used to be, and I hate to admit this, but I used to be hesitant to say that I was from East Oakland because I already knew that there was a stigma necessarily attached to that. Now I'm proud to say that I'm from East Oakland, and, you know, that, yeah, I come from humble beginnings, but look at what I have aspired and become, and that I still give back to my community. And I like to take those opportunities of ignorance, or when you run into a Karen or whoever it is that you run into, to show them that there is a different way that you can approach, number one, someone. And then two is that I have an opportunity to show them whatever that preconceived idea or notion that you had about who I was as a little short Black lady walking into this room, you're going to walk away with a different feeling indeed. And I take pride in that as well, because I mean, we're all human. We all make judgment calls. And I'm willing enough to say that, you know, if someone walked in with the Make America Great hat, I would be like, whoa. But much like you, I'm going to go ahead and treat them with that same respect, and hope that they will give that back to me. And they belong to, they're able to have their opinions, and their own feelings. But also, you don't have to necessarily push that on me. So if you're just wearing a hat, that's great. But I don't want that to interfere with me eating the home of the waffle sandwich, okay?
Don't bother my 3 steps.
Yes. Well, just because I segued into the home of the waffle sandwich, I want you to just give our listeners and viewers kind of a representation of what the waffle sandwich is. And then I have a special announcement to make. So whoever wants to expand upon what the waffle sandwich is.
Okay, so first I want to explain that any food detail, anything we're going to talk about food-wise has nothing to do with either one of us. This is all JB. So when you come into the restaurant, you taste any food. If you are on cloud 9 with that food, that is JB. If he's not there, that is still JB. If he is there, every piece, everything you eat is a representation of him. And
you know, he's big on umami.
Yes.
Hitting all the different parts of your palate.
Right.
The bitter, the sour, the sweet, the salty, all at the same time.
So that being said, the waffle sandwich is almost his signature thing that he has come up with. And I'm not going to say that he originated it. I'm not going to say that, but I will say this.
He has perfected it, though.
This particular waffle sandwich, in my opinion, is probably the best that I've had.
Absolutely.
And it literally is 2 Belgian waffles, and in between that, you're going to get a piece of country fried steak, You're going to get a fried egg on it. They're gonna sprinkle that with cheese, and then they're gonna cover it in country gravy.
House-made gravy.
House-made country gravy.
Good.
So
I'm hungry.
Yeah. So,
well, there's more.
Yeah. So and then when they bring it out to you,
wait, there's a waffle on top.
Yeah, so I said 2
butter.
Yeah.
And then powdered sugar.
Oh, excuse me, and the powdered sugar dusted on top. Excuse me. And then when they bring it out to you, they'll ask you if you've had it before, if you're a waffle sandwich virgin, and if you are, they will go into
our waffle sandwich virgin.
Right. They will go into the 3 steps with you, which is, and these are Chef JB's 3 steps, which are: you try the first bite by itself, so you get the flavor of the sandwich.
Melt the butter.
Right, with the melted butter, you break the yolk of the egg. You get all that, and you get that first taste.
Right.
Okay? Oh my God, that was good. Okay.
Which at that point you've hit everything. You've hit all the umami already.
Right. So you're good to go.
Right.
So now he wants you to take the pancake syrup and pour that over the next piece.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. But over your next bite, you're gonna put pancake syrup. You get that in.
It's another level.
That's the
another experience.
Now we're in gear 2 or 3 or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Then he wants you on the 3rd bite to again put the syrup on that, and then put hot sauce.
Ideally.
And then at that point in time, in those 3 steps, you should be able to find out where you like it.
Excellent.
Now,
Absolutely.
Right. Now, whenever we do this with folks, you have a lot of folks who they don't do the,
hot sauce on my waffles. Or and you're
syrup
on my.
I was that person.
and you literally tell them, you say, just indulgence. Just, they don't have to be huge bites. Just make sure you get everything and just take the 3 bites. And we'll come back around and to check on you and see which one you like. And I guarantee you that most of the time when we come around, the 3rd bite is the one that everybody likes. They're like, I never would have thought to put hot sauce on a waffle, and do all the, with powdered sugar on it. But that is usually the one. Unless people just don't do hot sauce, then they'll step back to step 2. And then rarely do you ever get anybody who's just like, oh, step 1 was it. But still, I mean, no matter what,
And the thing is, it still comes with a side.
Yes.
So you're already eating this great dish, and then you still have an option of crispy hot tater tots.
Those tater tots. Yes, they are so good. So good.
Which come out perfect. And every single time you go back there, you guys the kitchen, even us, when we go back there and we say, what do you guys do to the tater tots? All of them just kind of side eye us like, why do you want to know? Like,
right. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, like, as if we don't own the place. Like, why do you want to know? What do you need to know that for? Like,
they're perfect.
Got it. Like, all right. And so, yeah, I don't know, but every single time I get some, it's the best tater tots I've ever had.
Well, you got perfect tots, baby.
That's the side dish.
Yeah, and that's the side dish. So, and then you have some of the waffle sandwich veterans who come in, and they're like, nope, I'm getting the waffle sandwich. I know exactly what I want. And you say, man, you don't need to do any of that. They get their waffle sandwich and they don't need utensils.
Well,
they two-fisted
it every day.
Yeah, they two-fisted and eat it like an actual sandwich. And then we walk by, we're like, see, you know what you're doing.
Right. You've been indoctrinated.
Right. Yeah. So.
Well, I have to tell you, it's delicious. Absolutely delicious. And I'm super excited to announce that we are going to do yet another giveaway on Instagram. And Lori, I'm mixing the 2 of you, Lourin and Rosie are, I don't know where that came from.
That's kind of cute though.
Do we have our own?
Yeah, Rosie.
Yeah, exactly. Rosie.
Rosie. So Lourin and Rosie, or Rosie and Lourin, have so graciously donated a brunch voucher for 2 guests with 2 entrees and 2 non-alcoholic beverages. And we are going to give this away by giveaway on Instagram. So all you have to do is go either to the All About the Experiences Instagram page or the All About the Experiences podcast Instagram page. Go to both, like, and tag 5 friends. And in doing so, what will happen is you will be entered into this Instagram giveaway for this amazing, and let me tell you, you will be wanting to come back. And I say it's a win-win situation. You should go regardless if you win the brunch voucher or not, but you are in not only for a wonderful culinary experience, but definitely an experience where you'll feel like you have been welcomed to someone's home, and you're definitely not just a guest, you're a family member. So that's for sure.
COVID, every guest that would come, whether it was their first time or regulars, it would always end with a hug. Always a hug, just a good warm hug. I miss that.
I miss that too.
Yeah.
I miss it. I definitely miss BC before COVID.
I like that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, as we get ready to wind down, you guys have shared so much of not only yourselves and your story, but what a staple Vic's is in the Martinez community, what a staple your family is within the Martinez community, and making sure that not only do Black lives matter, but all lives matter. And beyond that, the food that you put in your stomach matters, okay? And so we all know that if we come to Vic's, we're getting good food. So I'm going to ask Rosie this part because I know that she has this. Rosie, if people want to get to VIX, tell them how to get to VIX, what the website is, and how they can contact you if they want to do a socially distanced private event.
Yes. Okay. So our website is it's not Rosie at VIX. It's VixMartinez.com. That is our website. And on Instagram we are Vix_Martinez. And Vix_Martinez on Instagram. And on Facebook we are Vix_Martinez. And then you can always email me directly about any questions regarding private events or even just reservations, or just to say, hey girl, hi.
Hey girl, hey.
Yeah, no, don't do that.
He said, no, don't do it. Not my wife.
Well, she's gonna get an immediate email from me.
Yeah.
Well, all right then.
But my email is Rosie, ROSIE @VixMartinez.com. And we're quick to reply. Hit us up on Yelp, on Facebook, Instagram, whatever you can. He knows. I reply to everything.
She's up. Yeah.
I'm very interactive. I'm engaging. I want to hear from you. I want to talk to you. I want to plan an event with you. I want to make a reservation for you. So I'm here.
Wonderful. Well, before we close, is there anybody that you'd like to give special accolade to? I know that we've talked about JB throughout this interview, but I want to say JB's culinary skills and what he brings to both the Hideout and VIX is amazing. And shout out to JB. I'll be coming to see you soon so I can tap in and get me another one of those waffle sandwiches. But I want to allow this space and time for you all to give any shout outs that you would like to render.
Our staff has been amazing. Like I said, they've been with us. Most of them have been with us since the very beginning. They rode with us through COVID, through any social issues going on. They supported the closure, the opening. They worked at times we couldn't because of homeschooling. Right. And the community, the people of Martinez. Just today, I had some of our regulars come in and look me in the eye and say, are you going to make it? And I said, well, I absolutely hope so. And they said, well, you let us know if ever anything is questionable, and the town will rally behind you.
Wow.
They said, we'll purchase all the gift cards if we have to. So absolutely the town of Martinez, young and old, they're great.
Yeah, it's a great city. It's a great city.
Well, look, I got educated there, so I know it is.
Martinez, it's a great town. Yeah. So we love being there.
It's a town of hardworking people, and as long as you're working hard yourself and putting forth the effort, they are willing to show out for you.
And it's such a big state, and especially in the Bay Area, it's really hard to find still a very small, sense of community. Right. And Martinez has that. You're in the Bay, you're in California, but you still feel like a little homegrown.
You do.
So.
Absolutely. Well, I can't thank the two of you enough. Now I'm going to put on the big cousin hat.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I'm so very proud of what you all have accomplished. I'm very proud of being connected to you all, not only just in the sense of what you're doing at VIX, but the military, being veterans, and what you bring to the community. I hate to say this, we kind of spoke on it a little bit, but sometimes people of color are viewed as one way, and we're so completely multifaceted, and our family is just that. And we come from a long line of strong, educated, hardworking people, and you all are just the manifestation of that. And so your big cousin is proud. I'm proud, and I cannot wait to come back out there and enjoy some food. And more than that, just your hospitality. And I appreciate everything that you all are doing. And I only know that it will continue to go down the down line with my little cousins as well. So thank you again for not only what you're doing, but thank you for gracing my platform to share all of your experiences. And that's what it's all about the experiences.
Yes.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Mom Shay. I mean, we're really flattered. We're honored.
Yeah.
I came home and I said, I gotta look real good for Shay, and don't
And
say
you do, girl. You look fabulous.
But no, really.
Oh yeah, you too, Lauren.
Full shift. No, this is
After
a full shift.
at the restaurant today. But anyway, we want to thank you. This is a great platform. We're very proud of you right back, and everything you're doing and everything you've been doing, BC.
Thank you.
And yeah, we're actually quite honored to be featured here. So.
Well, thank you very much. Well, as I always say, it is all about the experiences, and it's really important, especially during this time of COVID and social, racial, and civil unrest, that we check in with each other and we take care of each other. But more important, it's really, really, really important that we take care of ourselves. So with that being said, I hope all of my listeners and viewers and the two of you have a wonderful experiential week. And I look forward to everybody tuning in next week to All About the Experiences, Living Without Limits.